Hit the button.
Yes.
Good morning, Gravel Dude and Gravel Chicks. We're at world headquarters of Gravel Dude, and we've got a special guest here today, Chris. So, I just wanted to share an interesting story that came up at Steamboat. It was the inaugural Steamboat gravel ride. It was, I think, the night before the race or the day of.
2019.
Yep. And Chris shared something with us that I think everybody will find interesting. So, Chris, why don't you take away from here?
Sure, happy to do that, Vinny. Thanks for having me. Yeah, we were at Steamboat in 2019, and I was sitting there the Friday morning before the event, and we were watching CNN, and the story comes up about Woodstock. And it just so happened that the 50th anniversary of Woodstock was that weekend, and that just took me back to my trip to Woodstock for the Woodstock Music and Arts Festival, which prompted all this dialogue about how did you get there, and you know, how old were you, and it was such a memorable
So,
time.
you grew up in New York.
Yeah, I grew up in New York. Went to a lot of concerts as a young kid, and Woodstock was 2 hours from our house. And I asked my father, "Can you get tickets?" Because he got us concert tickets all the time. And lo and behold, he comes home with $15 tickets per day. And we got a group of I got a group of three friends that were neighbors and schoolmates, and we're like, okay, great. And then we had to pump the brakes, and we said, wait a second, how do we get to Woodstock? Because none of us drove. We were 15 and 16 years old, and so lo and behold, my mother raises her hand and says, "Oh, I can drive you guys to Woodstock." And we're like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm in." So what happened was, if you might remember, um, it was a rainy Thursday and Friday leading into Woodstock, and Woodstock became a mud fest, and all the news reports on the radio were, if you haven't left for Woodstock yet, don't even think about coming. And this is Friday morning, and we're sitting in our driveway at 6 a.m. with parents of three 16-year-olds and my mother, and they're like, "Are you really going to go to Woodstock?" And she said, "Hell yeah, we're going." And that was what we did. And 6, 7 hours later, we ended up at Woodstock with my mother driving a Volkswagen station wagon with the four of us in it, and it was the weekend of our lives, and she didn't back down. That's the real remarkable thing about the trip was, you know, we had our doubts. The four of us were like, "Well, we really going to do this?" And she wasn't backing down. She was going, "We're going to get there." We were stuck in oodles of traffic, 5 or 6 miles from the site, in a Volkswagen station wagon stick shift, and we had all these thoughts about turning around and just head. And she was like, "We're not turning around. We're going to get you guys to Woodstock." And that's what happened. So it's a true story. Um, and it all came about because we were sitting at Steamboat that weekend, and that was the 50th anniversary. So I told the story to everybody, and I keep telling it because it's such a great, heartfelt story about my mother, and it's just a great, memorable thing for me because all of my friends that went with us remember her perseverance. Otherwise, we never would have gotten there. So
Wow, what a story. So, there you have it, Gravel Dude and Gravel Chicks. Cool mom merit badge for sure.
right, right.
So, hey, we'll be talking to you soon, and reach out to us if you have any questions for Chris, man. How many people know somebody who's actually at Woodstock? So, thanks for sharing that story, Chris. It's a great story.
Happy to be here. Thank you.